Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes fun. Trees, laugh to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes fun. Trees, laugh to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens, and this is Rock the Boat right here on my favorite online radio network, UCY.TV. Today, I guess we're going to talk about mental health a little bit after I did the show last night on Revolution Radio, which is simulcasted over to UCY.TV. Jules had left some information and some links to mental health. Now, I've researched this in the past. I've spoken on it a couple times in the past. But it seems to be on top of us hard now, just like everything else. So I think what we'll do is we'll look into some mental health today. Now, the Canadian Centre for Addiction and Mental Health President and CEO, Dr. Catherine Zahn, is named to top 25 women of influence. Now, this is what got me researching it. Before I ran across, there was actually a thing in one of the Canadian newspapers, a quote from her saying that we're all of us are mentally ill. That's a pretty big statement. But this is the global nonsense again, right? We need a global problem that can only be solved with a global solution, and these global problems don't exist, but places like the Rockefeller Foundation and the different foundations, which are all up to their eyeballs in the creation of the United Nations, which is your global government. You might as well call it the global government. You know, they say they want to create a global government. They already created it a long time ago. Through mostly psychology. You break your spirit, then use psychology. So, you know, I suppose it wouldn't be far off to refer to ourselves as lab rats. The global lab rat group, I guess, were these crazy people, and they are lunatics, have taken over the so-called asylum. And they influence your life. They teach you how to behave. It's just like the rats running around in the boxes in the labs. And they work away at this stuff, and they get inside your head, and pretty soon you believe the garbage that's being fed to you. And they always use the same damn template. They've been using this template since they figured out it worked. They just interject the next new problem into it. It's always composed the same way. It's always sold the same way. You know, we were told we needed GMO foods to feed the hungry of the world. Well, according to the United Nations, there's as many or more hungry in the world than there ever was. Then you got to go back to the likes of Kissinger, who said, control the food, control the people. It's all about poisoning you. Because the bottom line, if you boil all of what's going on in the world today, it all boils down to their central philosophy, and that is there are too many people on the freaking planet. Planned Parenthood is the same thing, sold the same way. And that is how they do all of these things. It doesn't matter if it's about water. It doesn't matter if it's about energy. The renewable energy thing, one of the biggest scams that was ever laid on the West, is if you understand how their template is and how it operates, then you shouldn't have any problem understanding all of these different things that are coming at us and have come at us. They're designed to destroy the nation state. They don't want nation states. Rockefeller himself says he's internationalist, or he's been accused of being an internationalist. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it. So you go back to Cicero telling you how this treason operates. That was 42 BC, I think. So we were warned a while ago. A very long while ago. And we don't seem to get it. But we better get it, and we better get it soon. Anyways, there's a picture of this woman here, and there's the Toronto Tower there, and in the background, the Space Needle, I suppose you call it. And she's smiling in the foreground here. And if you ever saw someone, if you saw this woman on the street, you would instantly equate in your head that this woman probably suffers from some sort of a mental illness. And you probably feel sorry for her. But this crazy woman has been named to the top 25 women of influence. A nutcase. But these people are searched out, then they're used. Anyway, she did a TED Talk, and TEDx is basically a way to move the global agenda, the Marxist agendas, and the depopulation agendas. And they have people like this cracker talking, they have people like that other cracker Gates talking, right? Now they want to drop the CO2 emissions by 80%. They also want to drop the population by 80%. See the connection? And what do you exhale? CO2. Why did they pick CO2 as the dangerous gas on the planet? Well, because they decided there's too many of you. So that's what comes out of your face every time you exhale. So to drop the CO2 emissions by 80%, guess what? Your head's on the chopping block. Just the way it is. But the media never tells you this crap. The media knows. But who influences the media? People like Rockefeller. And all of those same type of outfits who donated the land for the United Nations is sitting on American soil. The Rockefellers. My question is, why did the American people allow that building beyond their land? It's all this migration about. Where'd that stew out of? Go back to the Rockefeller Foundation. and slide on over to the UN. Then look at the template. It's identical. All nations are member states of the United Nations. Now, I was reading some stuff in one of the papers this morning about migrants coming across the border into Canada and how many illegals are already here, and nothing in comparison to the United States, of course. But, I saw something that Trump was going to build a 30-foot wall. That was the number I saw this morning, a 30-foot wall on the Mexican border. Well, if you're going to build a 30-foot wall on the Mexican border, then we better build a 40-foot wall on the Canadian-American border, because apparently there's 11 million illegals in America. And if you build a 30-foot wall between the States and Mexico, they ain't got nowhere to go but north. We have the RCMP, which is the Queen's Police Force, which is the head of state of this so-called country, helping the migrants across the border. Come on in, smiling at them, because they know what their job is. All the police forces are members of the international police. And they drew up international law, which all countries are signed on to allow migrants. Where do you think the sanctuary cities came from? Rockefeller Foundation and the other foundations. I don't even know how many foundations there are. There are so many foundations out there now funding the NGOs, the politicians, to do the bidding of those who want you, one, dead and want your nation destroyed, and brought under the international law cooked up by these dicks out of the Rockefeller Foundation, which is full of lawyers. All these foundations are full of lawyers, all sitting in the back room stewing up international law. Well, it's not international law, it's corporate bylaws. And we got to kick this legal system in the teeth. And, one of the most profound things ever said by anybody was Shakespeare, whoever Shakespeare was. There's a lot of controversy about that, but regardless, first, kill all the lawyers. They are the great deceivers. Call them Satan's little helpers, because when you look at the legal system, by definition, I know people get tired of me saying this over and over and over again, but damn it, when it's stuck in your brain so hard that you can't ever get rid of it, and you got to start thinking about it. You can't just blow this stuff off. People seem more interesting who got the winning goal in a freaking hockey game, or who threw the winning basket, and none of that matters. That's all part of the psychology of bringing you down, making you mentally, spiritually weak. And we got to rise up to that. We got to get strong. Because they've taken us down through psychology and the weakening of our spirits and our spines. It made us very weak and very fearful and very acceptance of our slavery. And that has to stop. There was a story about employment in one of the papers yesterday, how all this robotics and all this technology is going to have a negative effect on employment for men and women. And it will. And again, there won't be enough working people to support the people that aren't working, which means, well, like I keep saying, they can't just come in and bomb the West. They can't do it. They never get away with it. Never fly. Even the media, doesn't matter how hard they would try to spin that, can't spin it. So they have to take us down the other way through pharmaceuticals, poison food, poison water, and so on and so forth. Planned Parenthood. You know, I saw a thing in the paper today. I didn't realize it. I didn't even realize it was St. Patty's Day on Friday. I was in court supporting Michael Schmidt. But but I did see a thing that March is supposedly, we're supposed to celebrate March by the guys going in and getting nutted. I guess spring is rutting season, and they want you to go get fixed before you start your spring breeding season, so to speak. And this is all about it. I mean the thing back in they plugged the papers. Do you realize it would cost you $800,000 to support a child? Why spend the money on a child? Why don't you live your life and enjoy your life and buy a boat, go on a vacation? And that was promulgated through all of the media, the talk shows, the movies. It's like they always do. And we always end up on the short end of the stick. And they want a really short stick. When I was looking at Population Matters, I believe it was called, which, I can't remember his name right now, the British, David Attenborough, which is basically the British David Suzuki. He worked with BBC, pushed the propaganda through BBC, and Suzuki pushed the propaganda through the CBC. But they've taken all those numbers down. This is quite a few years ago when I ran into their data, and I can't find it again. But the sustainable population for America, which has over 300 million people in it now, their sustainable numbers for America was not more than 100 million people. So that means 2/3 of you are vacating. England, or Great Britain, which is 62 million people at the time, they came up with a number of 32 million would be a sustainable number, but then they thought they should drop it to 28 million just to be on the safe side. Now they're talking about mental illness here. Who exactly are the mentally ill? Well, those running the show are the ones that are mentally ill. Gorbachev, who is with buddies with Morris Strong, who was a partner in kicking up this green movement, he said, the easiest way, to fix the environment is just kill, 90% of the people on it. Then the environment will be fine. Now, these people are put to us as these great, intelligent, caring people. Nothing be further from that. They're psychopathic sociopaths. They're crazier than shithouse rats. But they have control of every aspect of your life. Why are we allowing this? I mean, they come straight out and tell you they want to get rid of most of you, but people somehow, maybe it's too much for people to even bear. Maybe they just close their ears, shut their eyes, and shut their mouths. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Maybe that's what they've done. Maybe it's just through fear. Must be through fear, because it ain't through intelligence. We're smarter than all this. So anyways, just to get this started, I guess. So we have the head, who, by the way, this cracker, I looked up her paycheck, and this cracker, who says we're all mentally ill, is getting paid $647,000 a year to tell you you're nuts. And it's all about technology. Now, I want to take a shot before I go any further because this is being pushed pretty hard right now, which is called direct democracy. Now, if you got somebody pushing direct democracy because, well, you're sick of the democracy you got now, because nobody's listening to you, and everything seems to be rigged. Make no mistake about it, direct democracy. I had a guy on the show once or twice about direct democracy, full of crap. And after we did the second show, then they started pounding on me. But the fact is, direct democracy is another scam out of the Rockefeller Foundation and the other foundations and the United Nations. You can go there and you read this stuff. So if you are mad and you see somebody pushing direct democracy and you say, oh, that's a good idea, no, it ain't. Okay? It is not a good idea. I know people who think, oh, look at our mental health is so good now because they care about. They don't give a damn about you. It's about control of you. One of the main reasons for high-speed internet is not for your benefit so you can go and do research or play a game. Well, actually, the games are involved in it and in the mental part, but it's not so you can go do research. You don't need high speed to do research. You're just reading documents. The high-speed internet is specifically being set up so that you can vote on global issues. That's direct democracy. But you got to understand that the East outpopulates us, the East, Africa, China, all these places outpopulate us big time compared to the population in the West. So they stew up through their international agreements and their international law, and they vote on it, and you can't win that vote, because this whole thing is going to vote against you, and it is part of bringing down the West and the destruction of the nation states. And the other reason for the high-speed internet is mental illness. They're coming up with all kinds of apps. This just reminds me of 1984, when Winston's in his little concrete cubicle apartment with a big screen TV there, and we already have the TVs that are spying on you. And did I mention Windows 10? Anyways, so, Winston's in his place, and he's got one little cubby hole there that he can go and get out of sight and read. And but the screen tells him, the TV comes on, there's the talking head on the TV telling him it's time to do the calisthenics. And these are exactly the apps that are being designed now. I don't have a cell phone. A lot of people ask me, well, I don't have a cell phone. I don't want one of the damn things. I spend enough time communicating with people over the computer, and when I ain't on the computer, I don't want to communicate with nobody. So I never wanted a cell phone. I don't want a cell phone. I ain't getting a cell phone because they're going to tag all these apps to your cell phones. You make a phone call, they know exactly where you are. When I phoned the cops on the cops one time from the corner store and I was getting a coffee, and I ended up phoning London, Ontario, which is about 90 miles from here, And the guy on the other end of the phone says, "Oh, you're at the Max Milk." I went, "What? How the hell you know that?" Well, I borrowed somebody's cell phone at the Max Milk. So they know exactly where the hell you're calling from. I don't want a cell phone. I don't understand why people got cell phones because it's just another application to further enslave you. So now the app's coming out, because according to this cracker, we're all mentally ill. So they have all these apps to help you using, taking care of mental health through technology. So you'll be noticed, you know, how are you today? You'll get this bullshit coming at you. Do you feel any anxiety today? This could be coming across your freaking cell phone. And people are so far gone now, a lot of people are going to appreciate this. Oh, Big Brother cares about how I feel today. I'm worried about my mental health today. Isn't that a wonderful thing? They made some really kind suggestions for me. I mean, it is so pathetic. So pathetic. Anyways, I don't think I mentioned this. I'm pretty happy today, really. The sun's shining. It's, I don't know what it is, 4 or 5 above. And I'm sucking on a milkshake here I made just before the show. It's made out of freshly squeezed cow, I guess you could say what that is. Because someone squeezed a cow and the milk came out of it, and they didn't destroy it through pasteurization. So I have some real milk here at home now, so I made myself a banana milkshake, and I must tell you, it's pretty damn tasty. The only problem is the ice cream I put in it, of course, is not real ice cream. It's manufactured sludge. And the banana I put in it, there's no seeds in any bananas anymore, so that's messed with food as well. So other than the freshly squeezed cow that's in here, everything else has been adulterated. But we can let that go because the base of it is the milk, and it's quite tasty. That is some good. So let's go back a little bit here to where this is one of the things Jules sent me last night, and this is technology. And she put this stuff in the chat last night, and I want to thank her for it because I haven't talked about this mental stuff for a while. And this is from the Telegraph. Prisoners could serve 1,000 years sentence in 8 hours. Future biotechnology could be used to make prisoners feel as if they were serving a 1,000-year sentence, a team of scientists claim. Now, I like the term 1,000 years because, it's been written down many, many times that we are at the stage now where we are going to have 1,000 years of freedom or 1,000 years of tyranny. And I suggest we go for the freedom because what this technology is tyranny. But it's all built in the legal system, and legal is abstract concepts made up in the mind, not reality. And let's read a little bit of this. Future biotechnology could be used to trick prisoners' mind into thinking they have served a 1,000-year sentence, a group of scientists have claimed. Well, how do you trick somebody's mind into the idea that they served a 1,000-year sentence when, the upper end of a man's life is probably in the early mid 80s? Chuck Berry beat that. He died at 90. My uncle just died a month short of 94. And I'm sure Chuck Berry was still in pretty good mental condition when he passed away, as was my uncle, sharp as a frickin' tack. But he stayed away from vaccines. He stayed away from GMO foods and so on and so forth. And while his body eventually gave out, his mind did not. Very sharp. But that's not what they want. Philosopher Rebecca Roach is in charge of a team of scholars focused upon the ways futuristic technologies might transform punishment. Dr. Roach claims a prison sentence for serious criminals could be made worse by extending their lives. Speaking to Aeon magazine, Roach said drugs could be developed to distort prisoners' minds into thinking time was passing more slowly. There are a number of psychoactive drugs that distort people's sense of time, so you can imagine developing a pill or a liquid that made someone feel like they were serving a 1,000-year sentence, she said. A second scenario. Now, see, the scenario. Now, if you don't understand scenario, you don't understand the foundations, you don't understand the Rockefeller Foundation, you don't understand the United Nations. These are all built on scenarios. Now, I had a conversation with someone from the government one time, and they had written a piece, and I forget what it was even about, but I called them on it, and I was talking to the government people, and we were discussing whatever it was we were discussing, and but it was all built on scenarios, okay? And I mentioned this. Yes, we do this all through scenarios. Well, where did the scenarios come from? Basically, the Rockefeller Foundation. Okay. So, but what prisoner, if a man's life is, mid-80s is upper level, then why would he think he served a 1,000-year sentence? I mean, that's how ludicrous these people are. If the speed up were a factor of a millennium of thinking would be accomplished in 8.5 hours. Uploading the mind of a convicted criminal and running it at 1,000,000 times faster than normal would enable the uploaded criminal to serve a 1,000-year sentence in 8.5 hours. This would obviously be much cheaper for the taxpayer than extending criminals' lifespans to enable them to serve 1,000 years in real time. Well, what criminal ever lived 1,000 years? These people are nuts, and we got to take them down. 30 years in prison is currently the most severe punishment available in the UK legal system. To me, these questions about technology are interesting because they force us to rethink the truisms we currently hold about punishment when we ask ourselves whether it's inhumane to inflict a certain technology on someone. We have to make sure it is not just the unfamiliarity that spooks us, Roach said. Is it really okay to lock someone up for the best part of the only life they will ever have, or might it be more humane to tinker with their brains and set them free? When we ask that question, the goal isn't simply to imagine a bunch of futuristic punishments. The goal is to look at today's punishments through the lens of the future. These people are nuts. Completely, totally nuts. Now, I think this one she sent me as well, or she didn't send me, she put it in the chat. Technology and the future of mental health treatment. Technology has opened a new frontier in mental health support and data collection. Mobile devices like cell phones, smartphones, and tablets are giving the public, doctors, and researchers new ways to access help, monitor progress, and increase understanding of mental well-being. Mobile mental health support can be very simple but effective. For example, anyone with the ability to send a text message can contact a crisis center. New technology can also be packaged into an extremely sophisticated app for smartphones or tablets. Such apps might use the device's built-in sensors to collect information on a user's typical behavior patterns. If the app detects a change in behavior, it may provide a signal that help is needed before a crisis occurs. Some apps are standalone programs that promise to improve memory or thinking skills. Others help the user connect to a peer, counselor, or to a healthcare professional. Excitement about the huge range of opportunity has led to a burst of app development. There are thousands of mental health apps available in iTunes and Android app stores, and the number is growing every year. However, this new technology frontier includes a lot of uncertainty. There is very little industry regulation and very little information on app effectiveness, which can lead consumers to wonder which apps they should trust. Before focusing on the state of science and where it may lead, it's important to look at the advantages and disadvantages of expanding mental health treatment and research into the mobile world. The pros and cons of mental health apps. Experts, did I mention I hate experts as well as scientists? Okay, I do. Experts, because it doesn't say who these experts are, who's paying them, where they came from, or anything else, or if they have any expert. I took an expert out once who was coming from Vancouver. He was an expert on wind energy. That's what it said in the paper. This guy's coming from Vancouver to Owen Sound, Ontario, which is 20,000 people, and Walkerton, Ontario, which is about 5,000 people, to speak on the health effects of wind turbines. It's all played up in the paper as a big expert. So I researched this guy. This guy knows nothing about the subject, period. But they tag him as an expert. They haul his ass in here. I took his brain to the cleaners when he stood up. But this is what it is. Experts believe that technology has a lot of potential for clients and clinicians alike. A few of the advantages of mobile care include convenience. It's convenient. Treatment can take place anywhere, anytime. Example, at home, in the middle of the night, or on a bus, on the way to work, and may be ideal for those who have trouble with in-person appointments. Clients can seek treatment options without involving other people. Technology may be a good first step for those who have avoided mental health care in the past. Lower costs. Some apps are free or cost less than traditional care. Technology can help mental health providers offer treatment to people in remote areas or to many people in times of sudden need, for example, following a natural disaster or terror attack. Some technologies might be more appealing than traditional treatment methods, which may encourage clients to continue therapy. Technology can provide around-the-clock monitoring and intervention support. Technology can offer the same treatment program to all users. Technology can complement traditional therapy by expanding or extending an in-person session, reinforcing new skills, and providing support and monitoring. The new era of mental health technology offers great opportunities, but also raises a number of concerns. Tackling potential problems will be an important part of making sure new apps provide benefits without causing harm. That is why the mental health community and software developers are focusing on effectiveness. The biggest concern with technological interventions is obtaining scientific evidence that they work and that they work as well as traditional methods. Another concern is understanding if the apps work for all people or for all mental health conditions. There is no industry-wide standards to help consumers, so we need to do that. Privacy apps deal with very sensitive personal information, so app makers need to be able to guarantee privacy. Regulation, the question of who will or should regulate mental health technology and the data it generates needs to be answered. Well, that is the United Nations, that is the WHO, probably UNESCO, and so on and so forth. But it will be a global regulation because we're in a global world, and mental health, of course, is a global problem that can only be solved at the global level. There is some concern that if an app or program promises more than it delivers, consumers may turn away from other more effective therapies. Now that sounds like statement right out of the WHO over the H1N1 flu. Now, I have a document on my site. I guess you could just put in H1N1 flu, would probably bring it up in the search engine. But consumers may turn away from other more effective therapies. Now, back before, a couple of years before the H1N1 virus was sprung upon us, there's a meeting at the WHO in Geneva, of which our health official attended, and the gist of that was that they're making a lot of money off of vaccines. It's been a very productive program, but they were concerned that if they didn't have a pandemic soon, that people would lose confidence and stop taking the vaccines. And that's the same thing here. Consumers may turn away from, right? Turn away from the therapies. Consumers may turn away from the vaccines. So they sprung the H1N1. These are very, very, very mentally ill people. You aren't, they are. Okay, so you have the mentally ill trying to convince you that you're mentally ill. I mean, I guess that's ironic. It's ludicrous anyways. So we have self-management apps. Means that the user puts information into the app so the app can provide feedback. For example, the user might set up medication reminders to use the app to develop tools for managing stress, anxiety, or sleep problems. Some software can use additional equipment to track heart rate, breathing patterns, blood pressure, etc., and may help the user track progress and receive feedback. Apps for improving thinking skills. You wanted to improve your thinking skills, then get the hell out of the schools and the universities. That will do more to help your thinking skills than anything else. Anyways, it says here apps that help the user with cognitive remediation, brackets improved thinking skills, are promising. These apps are often targeted towards people with serious mental illness. Skill training apps. Skill training apps may feel more like games other than mental health apps, as they help users learn new coping or thinking skills. The user might watch an educational video about anxiety management or the importance of social support. Next, the user might pick up some new strategies to try and then use the app to track how often those new skills are practiced. Illness management, passive symptom tracking. Now, I don't know what passive symptom tracking, we're going to not worry about the illness management, but this passive symptom tracking sounds interesting. A lot of effort is going into developing apps that can collect data using the sensors built into smartphones. These sensors can record movement patterns, social interactions, such as the number of texts and phone calls, behavior at different times of day, vocal tone and speed, and more. In the future, apps may be able to analyze these data to determine the user's real-time state of mind. Such apps may be able to recognize changes in behavior patterns that signal a mood episode such as mania, depression, psychosis before it occurs. An app may not replace a mental health professional, but it may be able to alert caregivers when a client needs additional attention. The goal is to create apps that support a range of users, including those with serious mental illness. Now, can you just see this? You're walking down the street and something happens and it momentarily pisses you off. And this data is relayed to a central data collection agency. And before you know it, the sirens are blaring and the white coats are on their way, and you're in a straitjacket, and you've been whacked with a drug, and you're carted off because they determined that you may do something weird. Welcome to the new world. Now, if you're good with all of this stuff, fine with me. I don't care, but I'm not. And we who are not good with this stuff need to kick it in the teeth. You know, we went through this period now. Every now and again, I see the number of people watching television. It just keeps dropping. Okay, because that was a psychological tool to make you mentally ill. To believe junk that isn't real, and to influence your thought processes, your behavioral processes. And a lot of people started turning the damn thing off. And that's a good thing. But now it's in your cell phones, your computers, right? They've gotten by the need for the television propaganda machine and they moved into this one. Billowing apps. What is NIMH's role in mental health and innovation technology between 2009 and 2015? Awarded 404 grants totaling $445 million for technologically advanced or enhanced mental health intervention grants. These grants were made for studies of computer-based interventions designed to prevent or treat mental health disorders. Now, that's $445 million that basically came from government and foundations. Probably the majority of it came from foundations. And here you can join a study. Now, I'm sure most of the people listening here will want to join the study. There's a couple of studies here. You can join a study on general apps, join a study on mental health apps, and you can learn more by getting into mental research and the future of mental health trials, yada, 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 research and clinical trials, and so on and so forth. So this is U.S. government, National Institute for Mental Health, part of the National Institution of Health, a component of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So that's from the American Institute for Mental Health. So now we have the Mental Health Commission of Canada, which says exactly what I just finished reading in the last two pieces, which just goes to show that it is all interconnected. And it all is being stewed up by the same people. Now, this thing will, oh, I see. Maybe this is what the problem is. So I was looking up some names, and the names are important. The study's not important. The names are important. Who are these people? Who are they connected to? And what the hell's going on? So there's a little 43-page piece here, which, although it doesn't mention the UN, they're getting a little smarter that way. But through the UN, you will find these particular you'll find references to these particular assessments, be it the U.S. assessment that we just went through, or the Canadian assessment, or the Australian assessment, and then the UN, who stews this stuff up from the beginning and gets it going, and the foundations fund it and all this kind of stuff. Then it all ends up back at the UN, and then they started it. But then they use the data collected from your country, my country, somebody else's country to say, see what they're doing in this country, and how can we improve on that, right? So yeah, every single thing that comes at us is coming in the same format. These are not programs that are not connected. They are completely connected to one another. I don't care if it's vaccines. I don't care if it's GMOs. I don't care if it's fluoride. I don't care if whatever it is. Doesn't matter if it's financial. Doesn't matter if it's food. They are all run by the same dumbass people. Now, this particular, it's called e-mental health. In Canada, transforming the mental health system using technology, a briefing document. The insight and expertise found within this document was guided and directed by Mahunja, Director of Promotion and Prevention Initiatives, and the Mental Health Commission of Canada. The paper was written by Simon Hatcher, University of Ottawa, Sapper Mahan. I can't read most of this stuff. We also have someone here from New Zealand. Input and direction and guidance were provided throughout from the Mental E-Health Steering Committee, the Mental Health Advisory Council, and other expert advisors. Now, when you go through this, you have some names here. Some of them, most of these names here are not that important. Members of the Mental Health Steering Committee, not that important. They are the useful idiots. Other expert advisors, we have University of Calgary, New Zealand, McGill University, which just happens to be where Brzezinski came from, who said it would take 2.5, 3 generations to get you to the position they could do this to you, from the university, or from McGill University, which has a pretty dark history, really, of experimentation and the stuff. So we have another one from New Zealand. We have H. Wesley Clark, Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, United States of America. Then we have Evermind, LLC, United States of America. We have someone from Sweden, and David Gustafsson, who is, I think, fairly important in this whole deal, from the University of Wisconsin-Madison Center for Health Services. And we have somebody here from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and University in Germany, Scotland, and another one, let's see, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, United States, and another one from New Zealand, and Link to Health, United States of America. So these are some of the people who are involved in this particular thing. Acknowledgement, the report has been prepared by the Mental Health Commission of Canada, yada, yada, yada. And here's the table of contents. But we go through here. They actually have they always do this, they have, what is the definition of sustainable development? Well, that came from Gro Brundtland, who was the vice president of Socialist International. And again, the definition doesn't really have any kind of a meaning. That's the beauty of the United Nations. I mean, these are the great deceivers. And these are Satan's little helpers. So we have a big bunch of stuff in here. It's actually not a bad document. It was done, I think, 2014. So it's fairly recent. The sad part is, all these mental health workers, they're taken and they're taught all this stuff like it's a good thing, and they just get a paycheck. So then they just propagate it more, and it ends up in a meeting to propagate it more, and so on and so forth. So strategic direction, promotion and prevention, promote healthy thinking, treat early onset disorders. Now, I have a disorder. I want to be upfront about this. I obviously have a disorder because the police departments are all involved in this mental health thing as well. And as I said before, I got a call from the chief, what do they call it? Chief inspector now. They used to be chiefs of police. Now they're chief inspectors. I guess he was inspecting my mental health. And he called me at my home and explained to me that I think differently than 99% of the community. And that's a problem. Well, it's not a problem. It's called truth bubbling up to the top. And that's a problem for the state because, of course, truth is the enemy of the state. But the police are totally involved in this. Now, I've seen all kinds of training programs going on for the police on mental illness, right? So they're not just looking out for the bad guys. They're looking out for you as well. And so they will team up with the mental health people and visit your home. Me, on the other hand, after that silly conversation with him, I went to the police board and raised a bit of hell about it, and he was vacated out of here within a couple, 3 weeks after I was at the police board, and they retired him out of there because he's setting himself for a lawsuit, and what they do when they get caught, they run away. Because they're all chicken shits. These deceiving people are chicken. They're like bad little children sneaking around. That's why I keep saying we got to hold their feet to the fire. We got to shine the light bright on them, and they'll run like what they are, cockroaches. A cockroach, you shine the light on a cockroach, he ain't going to stand around and give you a hard time, or a whole group of them is not going to stand around and give you a hard time. Once that light's on, they're out of there. And this is what we've not done. We haven't shone the light on these cockroaches who control their lives. So they just scurry around and do their thing, and no bother, because they work in the shadows. They work in the dark. And if we don't shine the light on them, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. So we got to hold them. We got to hold them accountable, which means we got to pull them out of the dark and into the light, and then they will go. They'll disappear. Or we can just fumigate our nations. Maybe we need an anti-globalist UN vaccine, and it only has a negative effect on those who are supporting or involved in this nefarious action that's been taken against the people, the men and women of this world, and the children. Anyways, this goes down. I'm sure there is in this particular one. There's definitions. One of the challenges when discussing e-mental health is agreeing on a definition. This is important, not so much for what the definition includes, but what it excludes. Some definitions, for example, exclude older technologies such as video conferencing, while broader definitions may include electronic health records or the provision of online learning and help for health professionals. The application of technology in mental health has not happened in isolation from the rest of health care. So one place to start is to consider the broader definition of e-health, an approach used by Lal and Adair 2013. It's all stuff made up in the head. Now, e-health, wider all-encompassing definitions of e-health include administrative systems such as electronic prescribing and electronic health records, as well as direct clinical care. Such definitions include those from the World Health Organization and Health Canada. Okay, so they do find, I read this really quick last night after the show. So they do mention, thank you very much, the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization defines e-health as the transfer of health resources and health care by electronic means. E-health provides a new method for using health resources such as information, money, and medicine, and in time should help to improve efficient use of those resources. In Canada, Health Canada defines e-health as an overarching term used today to describe the application of information and communication technologies in the health sector. It encompasses a whole range of purposes from purely administrative through e-health care delivery. An early aspirational definition from Professor Gunther Einsbach, editor of the Journal of Medical Internet Research, 2001, included the informatics and clinical care, as well as a sense of business entrepreneurship. He describes e-health as an emerging field in the intersection of medical, informatics, public health, and business, referring to health services and information delivered or enhanced through the internet and related technology. Also, a state of mind, a way of thinking, an attitude, and a commitment for networked global thinking. And a commitment for networked global thinking to improve health care locally, regionally, and worldwide by using information and communication technology. So, global citizen, oh rat of the world, lab rats of the world, right? Let's see here what we got here. It has been challenging to determine a definition for e-mental health. A recent definition by Mo R. 2013 defines the scope of e-mental health mainly by the type of technology that includes telephone and video conferencing services, web-based interventions, also called internet interventions, interventions using mobile devices, the integration of sensors for patients monitoring social media, virtual reality, and gaming. Used for the purposes of this document is a definition from Professor Helen Christensen at the Black Dog Institute in Sydney, Australia. She defines e-mental illness as, quote, mental health services and information delivered or enhanced through the internet and related technologies. Yeah. We also include video conferencing and use of big data in mental health care. This document does not refer to administrative systems such as electronic health records or electronic prescribing. We have also not defined the scope of mental health, mainly because for the purpose of this document, the issues for the application of technology in mental health are similar to those in the wider field. So they don't define the scope of mental health, even though they have already used a bunch of ridiculous definitions. This is straight UN gobbledygook. So we got patient empowerment, technology transforming. I like this little document, this little picture here. This is on page 13. Technology transforming the mental health system. The following outlines some of the current and most popular existing technologies that are supporting e-mental health services and resources in Canada. So we have telemedicine, we have computerized treatments, resources and apps, we have gaming, which is used to work your mind, wearable computing and monitoring devices, big data, that's what the UN and the Rockefellers use to build their scenarios from. We have virtual reality, we have robots, and peer support through social media and other technologies. So I'm not going to spend too much on this. It's a very interesting document. Read it, understand it, pass it around. I'm going to just keep moving with this stuff. So that's that. Put this in here to the chat of my favorite little radio network on the internet. And that's that. It's only 43 pages long, so look at it. Okay? Donald Trump does not matter. The Congress of the United States does not matter. The Senate does not matter. The Prime Minister of Canada does not matter. The Premiers of Canada do not matter. The Senate of Canada does not matter. Because all of these are involved in the takedown of not just your nation, but your life. And we need to step up to the plate. Now, I have to do a little more research on Donald Trump, but apparently he's mad at the UN for putting out, not stopping this document saying that Israel is an apartheid, nasty outfit regarding the Palestinians, and Donald Trump or the one of the officials from the United States connected to the UN did not want this document released, and a lady that wrote it resigned, and people go, oh yeah, well that's great. Well, you know, and people separate the United Nations and Israel as two separate bodies. They're really not. They're basically brothers in this crime being committed against the people of this world. Both were created at the same time. They made two attempts to create Israel and a world governance body. That's what the First World War was about, and both of them failed. Israel, or the Zionists, wouldn't accept what was offered to them. It was a state in Israel, or not in Israel, but in North Africa somewhere. Didn't want it. They wanted where they are now, and America wouldn't sign on to the League of Nations. So one more depression, one more world war, and which over the course of those wars, hundreds of millions of innocent people were killed. And the result of the war, they got what they wanted. They got the United Nations and Israel. And the rest is history. So that Donald Trump likes Israel and is pissed at the UN, makes absolutely no sense. You can't be pissed at one and not at the other. Okay? You can't do it. They're brothers in crime. And this is the old right left. This is the old divide and conquer shit. Okay, keep the people divided. Keep them away from understanding that two are the same. You know, it's like the old search commercial: two tyrannies in one, instead of two breath mints in one, or whatever it was for search. But these are two tyrannies in one. And they may sit in separate houses, but they're joined at the hip. And they're both pushing the same agenda. Israel, the Zionists, the Jews got their ass kicked out of their homeland for turning against God. And they're not supposed to have a nation. They're not supposed to get a nation until, I believe, the Messiah returns. They don't want to wait for this shit. And they've hooked up with their friend Satan, and they've decided that they will control the entire world. And they pretty much got it now. But there's still, as long as that King James Bible survives, as long as the Christian faith survives, as long as the United States, I don't want to, I can't use it. As long as the American Constitution, which is really not that good a thing anyways, it was kind of a con game anyways, but there's enough in it that's usable to still stand these guys up at our gates. But if those two things fall, it's done. Welcome to 1,000 years of a boot on your neck, as George Orwell said. So we got to get to work. Anyways, that's a document from there. I'm going to put these other two documents because, if you like to read science fiction, which is really something made up in the mind, which is what the legal system is, something made up in the mind. So the legal system, by definition, besides being adversarial, which is satanic, it is also science fiction. And that's what they got us on. So that's these are the two things I think that Jewel put in last night that got me looking after the show. And so I want to thank Jules for keeping me up till like 2:30 in the morning so I could go and redo some research and then get up early this morning and get ready for this show. So here's the Black Dog, great name for it too, the Black Dog Institute, of which the definition of e-health or mental health or whatever came from the woman running this thing. And this is some of the foundations that support it, okay? We're fighting. We got no resources, right? We're fighting without resources. Last night when I did the show on Revolution Radio, I'll go over to their tote board, right? Their donation board. I mean, these guys aren't asking for much. I mean, they got to keep the servers running. That's all they're doing is keeping the servers running. I don't even know how they're doing that. There's like, I don't know, was there 75, 90 shows or something on Revolution Radio? Now, what was their goal for the month? $2,200. There's 2 days left in their particular run there, however they work out their month thing. But there's something like 2 days left. They collect like $1,700. So they're $500 short. Now here we have the Paul Ramsey Foundation in Australia helping with the Black Dog Institute push this global tie down of your brain. So Paul Ramsey Foundation is supporting the Black Dog Institute to implement Lifespan, a world-first system-based approach to suicide prevention over the next 6 years. Lifespan will be implemented and evaluated in 4 regions across New South Wales. The Paul Ramsey Foundation's $14.7 million donation represents the single largest donation to suicide prevention received in Australia. If successful, yada, yada, yada. The Davy Jones has been part of the fabric of Australia's society since 1838 and is committed to strengthening the legacy through its community investment program, yada, yada, yada. And they donated 10% of their sales. The HSBC, which is a bank, right? HSBC is one of the world's largest banking and financial services organizations in Australia, offers an extensive range of financial services. Okay. So it marked its 150-year anniversary. And what are they doing? Is partnering with, in Australia, is the Black Dog Institute. The bank is supporting delivery of 2 vital programs, development of an innovative adolescent online mental health clinic delivered through Australian high schools, the national rollout of mental health education programs to young people, health professionals, and communities in rural and regional Australia. So that bank is guilty of mental child abuse. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Future Generation Global Investment Company. Now, these are all corporations funding this shit. And what did Rockefeller? Something has to take the place of government. And business seems the obvious entity to do it. So when I write stuff on Facebook, I call it the UN/globalist/corporate, because that's all the same body. Corporations set up the United Nations, and they're all globalists, they're all internationalists, and they're all corporate. And it really sickened me when they had the not the Idle No More, but the Occupy movement. And all these people are running around. We're the 99 going to take down the 1%. Well, the 1% funded your freaking Occupy. I remember getting dumped on by so many different online, be it Facebook or be it radio shows or be it blogs, for coming out so staunchly against the Occupy movement when it first kicked up. Well, geez, it only took a few minutes to go find out where it came from. I mean, it was concocted by and funded by the very people, these idiots down on the street, these NGOs, and their little band of nuts was protesting against. It was funded by. It was created by. We got to stop getting sucked into that kind of crap. So we have the Future Generation Global Investment Company, Virgin Australia, which I take it is the airline. Yeah, it is. Which is Dingleballs, who is the guy who runs Virgin, which is a complete globalist. The CBH Group, Australia's largest cooperative and leader in Australian grain industry is involved in this. Coates Hire, I don't know what the hell that is. Building, construction, maintenance, mining, resources, manufacturing, governments, and events is what they do, are involved in this. The CAS, founded in 1976, is a leader in business analytics software and services, yada, 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 so they can move their apps. Maddox provides premium legal services to corporations, business, and governments for Australia and internationally. And so they're obviously involved in it because it's all about international. Aon is Australia's leading provider of broking and consulting services for risk management, insurance transaction, reinsurance, human capital consulting, and of course they want to do this because there'll be insurance programs and there's money. It's all about money. You're just what they use to facilitate what it is they're trying to do. Paramount Safety is a safety product company. For each black dog hard hat sold, $2 was donated. Yes, indeedy. The Wentworth Leagues Club, Goodman, Meyer Foundation, Australian Foundation for Mental Health Research, the Black Puppy Foundation, the Ottoman Foundation, the NBA Foundation, the Odd Foundation, the James N. Kirby Foundation, the Nib Foundation, the Nielsen Foundation, and on and fucking on and on and on and on. These people have millions upon. This is just one little outfit. This is the Black Dog Institute pushing mental health out of Australia. That's just one little organization. Is pulling in millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to move the Rockefeller UN mental health programs through the WHO, through your local, provincial, or state and federal so-called governments. To have you tagged by the big data collectors who want to know how you feel today. And are you going to attempt to commit suicide? These people care about your life, but these are the very same people that brought forward Planned Parenthood and assisted suicide, but they care about you. Nothing could be further from the truth. So that's a Black Dog Institute. I'll throw that in. Maybe you're from Australia. You look into it. Even if you're not, it doesn't matter. Look into it anyways because it is all interconnected. Now, we're not mentally ill. That's a given. But we are controlled by the mentally ill. And one of the most important things is that you got to understand, these people are amoral, without moral life in them. They're not, they're corporate animals. The legal system is amoral. And we got to get back to moral. You can't win. You can't, you're not going to survive when you have a bunch of amoral, psychopathic sociopaths running your lives and setting the rules and regulations for your life. You can't win at that. You know, a psychopath or sociopath by definition is someone that's amoral. They can hurt you, but they don't have the capacity to show empathy. They don't have they don't. What's the word I'm looking for? They don't. There's no remorse. There's no remorse from these people. Well, they don't know what it is because it's not a trait that a psychopath possesses. So you have the extremely mentally ill running your life. And people wonder why they have depression and they have anxiety attacks and they don't feel good and they don't think clearly. It's because your life is run by psychopaths. And it really messes up the moral fiber of the good men and women who live on this planet. They struggle with this and they become depressed. Each year that goes by, I see more depressed people. Now, these people need to read some stuff. They need to understand what the hell's going on. That will help their depression more than anything. Because once you understand what's going on, then you don't need to be depressed. So this is, I don't know if this was said in the, or I looked this up or saw a link to it, but my least favorite publication, I guess, would be the Huffington Post. But it says here, a historic event at the United Nations in mental health. UN defines mental health as a policy priority in the latest global development agenda, which is Agenda 2030. Mental health advocates calling for people to sign petition and send emails in support of strong indicators to help ensure accountability and access. This past weekend, the United Nations made a historic statement on the importance of mental health by including in the new Development Agenda 2030. This agenda is designed to be a plan of action for the people, of the people, for the people, and will be the leading global development policy for the next 15 years. So who's running the show in your country, in your so-called country? The United Nations. They've already implemented United Nations Agenda 21 through your local councils, in particular, global to local, giving the power to the global. And now we have Agenda 2030, of which mental illness is a piece of that agenda. Now, one of the other agendas, I don't know if it's written in this particular document or not, but it was very plainly said at the preamble, or in the preamble to the 1976 Conference on Human Settlements. Again, the Rockefellers, the Strongs, and the Rothschilds, and all those boys, and all the foundations. What's not sustainable is private property. Now, I had a friend of mine who talked about this. I filmed a video outside the courthouse in Owen Sound, Ontario, when they were taking down Farmer George, or attempting to take down Farmer George. And so Doug, who I met, I don't know when I met Doug, 10 years ago or so, and he did some phenomenal work. He was running a little newspaper. There wasn't even a newspaper. All it was 11 sheets of paper stapled together, trying to get word out what was and what is and where it came from. And it wasn't that well received because he was at that time, talking about the Jesuits and all of this other, the Masons, all this really deep stuff, of which can't possibly resonate with Joe Average, who's headed to the burger joint to get a burger for lunch, or was concerned about some sports trade. It was too deep for most of the people. It was way too early as well. I tried it in the 70s. It was way too early then. And, I've been patiently waiting for people to get their backs against the wall, which is now. And this is when we need to use all the information that we've garnered from the past and put it into a package that Joe Average can understand. And we have something that they can relate to now, which is their possible loss of their homes, of which many people have lost their homes, and many other people are in a very tight position trying to stay in their homes. Now the door is open for discussion with these people. These people's ears are in their eyes and is open now. And done properly, their mouths will open up as well, and they will go and talk and shine the light as well. So, I don't know what's all. I skipped through that 2030 once agenda, but it's just a continuation. So, God, these people are evil, man. Very, very evil people. Let's see. Research suggests that without measurement, goals are not effective. These indicators play a crucial role in ensuring the progress towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals is being made and nations are being held accountable to tackling the real challenges facing the mental health community. This is a monumentous declaration by the United Nations showing a clear commitment to mental health. The UN state that they envision a world where physical, mental, and social well-being are assured. They further declare that in order to promote physical and mental health and well-being and to extend life expectancy for all, we must achieve universal health coverage and access to quality health care. No one must be left behind. Until a cause becomes a social movement, authentic, even transformational change will not occur. The 60s gave us the civil rights movement, the 90s the AIDS movement. Let's make mental health the 21st century movement. And that's Congressman Patrick Kennedy. You might want to call that clown up if you are in the United States or America. 1 in 4 people in the world experience a mental health condition in his or her lifetime, and a significant number of those are not treated. In most countries of the world, people with mental health problems are not treated because of stigma, lack of mental health systems. You can take this same frickin' paragraph. 1 in 4 people in the world experience a water shortage. 1 in 4 people in the world don't have proper education. 1 in 4 people in the world don't have proper electricity. 1 in 4 people. 1 in 4 people. Did I say 6 million Jews? It's a template that is used over and over and over again. And when the hell are people going to catch on to that simple fact? Because once you understand, it's just a plug and play template, or where they take non-existent problems or problems that they created in order to need a solution to the problem they created. Sometimes it's a real problem, but they created it. Sometimes it's just simply a manufactured situation. An imaginary problem, but once they define the problem, then it's to go find a solution for the problem. And again, this is all part of their template system. So if Donald Trump, Mr. America, is serious about saving the nation, then Donald Trump has to put his cards on the table and vacate the Trilateral Commission off of them lands, to vacate the United Nations off of those lands. Because if he fails to do so, then everything else he does is just smoke and mirrors. How in the hell could the United Nations be on the ground of America when its primary concern is the destruction of nation states? How could the United Nations be allowed to sit on the soil of America all these years? Simple. Because people like the Rockefellers and the Fords and the Carnegies and all of these other very powerful, very psychopathic, sociopathic people have made themselves the shadow governments. The governments come and go, but these people never go anywhere. And they all need to get removed from the soil of the nation because they're like a bad virus. They make the nation sick and weak. And if Mr. Trump is serious about saving America, then he better show it. He's got nothing to screw the media. Screw everything. Just go down there and lock up the United Nations, arrest everybody in it, renovate the thing, and then open it up for the homeless, be it vets or just generally homeless people, which there should be none in a nation as wealthy as United, in a nation like America or Canada or Australia or really anywhere else. These people come in here and they mess things up so that they have a problem they need to fix. Then they fund the universities and they fund the NGOs to write these stupid documents, to come up with a solution, and each solution harms us. Each one drives us closer to the edge and closer to the end of our nations. So we got to zone our eyes in here a little bit. All that peripheral noise that everybody seems to engage in, you have to lock it out. You got to put the frickin' blinders on. Okay? You're trying to get a destination here. You ain't got time to do the sightseeing and go to the ball game and listen to Oprah Winfrey and all that kind of diversionary nonsense while this thing in the background just rolling over top of us. I want each and every one in these nations that when they're taking their last breath, that they can look back and say, damn it, I missed the hockey game or the football game, but I actually accomplished something. I worked hard to take back our nation so that the children and the grandchildren, those who come after them, have a future. I mean, it's really ill when I hear people say, oh, I'll be dead and gone by the time this all stuff gets into position. I just want to punch these people in the face. If we are a nation, then we must act as a nation. And what is a nation? A nation is nothing more than the men and the women and the children. That's the nation. And if the men and the women won't stand up for the children and stand up for each other against this juggernaut that's rolling over top of us, then we probably never were a nation. Then maybe we deserve to get rolled over on. Maybe we are just useless eaters. Has been described by several people. I think, again, Kitchener being one, and I don't want to bring out his Jewishness, but you see the connection. Now, this is WHO 204, source promoting mental health concepts, emerging evidence and practice. Mental disorders comprise a broad range of problems with different symptoms. However, they are generally characterized by some combination of abnormal thoughts, emotions, behavior, relationships with others. These disorders are included and described in Chapter 5, mental and behavioral disorders, F00 to F99 of the WHO's International Statistic Classification of Diseases and Related Health Problems, 10th revision, ICD 10. The area of disorders covered are as follows: F100 to F09, organic. That includes symptomatic mental disorders, F10 to F19, mental and behavioral disorders due to psychoactive substance use, F20 to 29, schizophrenia and delusional disorders, F30 to 39, mood, affective disorders, F40 to 48, neurotic, stress-related, and somatoform disorders, F50 to 59, behavioral syndromes associated with psychological disturbances and physical factors, F60 to 69, disorders of adult personality and behavior, F70 to 79, mental retardation, F80 to F89, disorders of psychological development, F90 to 98, behavioral and emotional disorders with onset usually occurring in childhood and adolescence, and F99, unspecified mental disorders. So I can see why that crazy woman from the Canadian Mental Health Association said that we are all mentally ill, because the United Nations, the World Health Organization, spells it right out there. Everybody's been tagged. You're going to fit in one of those slots. If you don't fit in one of those slots, you'll fit in F99, the unspecified mental disorder. Okay? And this is what they're doing. They're messing with you. They're messing with your family. They're messing with the children in the schools. And we got to stop it. So, I don't know. This is only a 9-page thing. I'm going to stuff it in here. Mental health legislation, which they want all levels of government to implement. Okay. Mental health services, recovery. This is a pretty simple little document here. Like I said, it's only 9 pages long, and I'm sure anybody that listens to this show is more than capable of reading 9 pages. Let's see, we'll dump that in there. Oh, look who's in the chat. Jules. Jules is in the chat. See what I'm doing today, Jules? I'm doing a show on mental health. And I thank you for it, because I haven't done that for a while. I did a lot of this research some time ago. But thank you for redirecting me back to it, because it's a very, very important subject. So, what time we got here? Okay, I got a little bit of time. I'm just going to run through this quickly. That's that one. And what else we got here? Okay, now let's buzz this way, I guess. Back down to here, and I'll get some more of these later links. Okay, so now this is the Center for Health, Addiction, and Mental Health of Canada. And she's making $643 or 47, I think it's 47, $647,000 a year. For what reason? Well, to push this nonsense. I mean, that's a pretty good paycheck, but there's lots of funding coming in, isn't there? And when they get their mouthpiece, they look after them. So you tell me, looking at this woman, if this woman, you just picture this now. You're in a store, or you're walking down the street, and you see this thing coming at you. You tell me, what's your first thought? Not a full house, not a full deck of cards here. But you tell me, maybe she looks perfectly sane to you. To me, she looks like she ain't got a full deck going here. But that's your call. So we're going to stuff that in there. Running up and down the list of links here. Now, trust me, I live in Canada, and this is not what the average Canadian woman looks like. This is someone who you would think's got a screw loose somewhere, but she's in charge. She's in charge of our mental health. Now, I got to get back here again. You see how easy this is, folks, to do the research, okay? I mean, Jules threw a couple links up there, and I'd researched a lot of this stuff in the past because I'm, trying to figure out the Rockefellers and these other foundations and that, and the United Nations and the different organizations in the United Nations, so that when something does pop up, it's a really, really fast research game. It takes no time. You read a document, pick out the most prominent names, and then you go look them up, and then you start tagging them to different places like Rockefeller, Ford, any foundation really, and then work your way back through to the United Nations, or you can go there first. Sometimes you got to do a few side trips, but you get there quick. And this is what's so damned important that people do. Now, speaking of Rockefeller, I'm not going to go through too many of these, I don't think. And I urge people, I really urge people to go watch that damn movie of which David Rockefeller stars in. It's called Survival of Spaceship Earth. Now, I did cut it down a little. I got it, and I cut it down a little, and it was amazing. When my good friend and phenomenal researcher, Kathy, found that. We searched the internet, and she found the only posting of it. So I downloaded it, and I cut probably, 10 minutes out of it. We had Rue Callahan from Golden Girls introducing it, and this was 1972, just prior to the first conference on the human environment. Rockefeller, Rothschild, Strong, the whole 9 yards, the whole UN body, and it's an amazing film. Raymond Burr narrates it. So they got some people involved in this that the average I watch TV can relate to, and Hugh Downs is in it. They do the intros and the outs, but the people that are in it, Holden's in it, and Rockefeller related that he was so amazing he walked on water, kind of thing. So he's talking about this guy like he's Jesus, because he's moving the earth worship forward, right? And that's what's really dangerous about this stuff. Anyways, the Rockefeller Foundation, or Rockefeller, was the head of a committee that he thought they should do on concerning world population, and then he wrote. He was in charge of that thing. Then he writes this thing of what, and Nixon pukes off this stuff, and then Rockefeller turns it around and says, I just want to discuss this thing that Nixon said in his letter or in this address and that. Well, all Nixon did was read a piece of this stuff, but it was all Rockefeller. And he said, we got to do what the president says, and it was the Rockefellers and that got Nixon over to China. That's got the one child thing going. So the Rockefeller foundations and that have just a huge amount of influence. Let's see, Rockefeller Foundation. What's good for mental health is good for the economy. The Rockefeller Foundation is committed to working with the World Bank and others to define a resilient, better mental health means. Better mental health means a better bottom line. So therefore, it's good for the economy. 100 years, the Rockefeller Foundation, psychiatry, health. The development of the field of psychology in the United States was largely precipitated by the Rockefeller Foundation, those working on investigating mental health. It goes on, and let's see, the Rockefeller Foundation launches an economic council focused on planetary health, mental health, pharmaceuticals, medicine, and technology. Damn. That's what these guys are up to. Okay, it's not your government. It's these guys. And this is PRY or whatever the hell. This is the Rockefeller Foundation. New York, February 23rd, 2017. The Rockefeller Foundation today announced the formation of the Rockefeller Foundation Economic Council on Planetary Health and at the Oxford Martin School. This assembly of global experts will demonstrate the economic and policy case for the emerging field of planetary health. The field accountants for the link between human health and natural systems on which it depends. Over the next 18 months, the council's work will augment existing scientific planetary health evidence by providing leaders and policymakers with economic data for protecting human health through the preservation of the Earth's natural systems. The scientific case for planetary health approach was well established in a July 2015 report in Lancet, Safeguarding Human Health, and wherein the Rockefeller Foundation and the Lancet Commission on Planetary Health detailed the ways in which the degradation of natural systems harms the health of individuals, families, communities around the world. The scientific evidence of the Rockefeller Foundation and the Lancet Commission on Planetary Health made it clear that when we compromise the environment, we compromise human health, said Yale professor Ernesto Zedillo, chair of the Economic Council and former president of Mexico. It is a fascinating paradox. The very economic growth that allowed human health to improve and people live longer is actually harming our physical well-being. We need to turn this around, and we can firmly believe that the prosperity and good health should go hand in hand, and the Council will chart a course for doing so, mindful that we only have one Earth. So among the Economic Council members, Scott Barrett of the Lenfest Earth Institute, Gro Harlem Brundtland, former Prime Minister of Norway and Director General of the WHO, and the one put in charge of the commission to come up with our common future. She was also, I've added this on after they stopped at the WHO, but she was also the vice president of Socialist International. And the book itself, Our Common Future, was mainly written by Jim McNeill, Rockefeller, and Morris Strong. Let's see, the former president of Prime Minister of Mozambique, Cristina Figueres, former executive secretary of the United Nations Framework and Convention on Climate Change, who wants you all dead as quickly as possible because, of course, the Earth is overpopulated. And this is the whole gist of the movie Survival of Spaceship Earth. And that was in 1972. You know, we had Rockefeller in it, we had Morris Strong in it, we had Barbara Ward in it, a bunch of some scientists in it. And it's like a really, really, really bad B sci-fi reality scenario movie as a mind-bending thing to be put into people's heads just prior to the 1972 Conference on the Human Environment. And of course, backed up with celebrities in the actual movie to soften the brains of those already soft brains. Well, I watched The Golden Girls, and I know Hugh Downs, and Raymond Burr was Ironside, so this must be serious. Just total mind manipulation. Sir Andy Haynes, former director, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, chair of the Rockefeller Foundation Lancet Commission on Planetary Health. Jacob Lew, former U.S. Secretary, Treasury Secretary. Carlos Nobra, former Secretary of R&D Policies of the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation of Brazil. Lord Nicholas Stern, Professor of Economics and Government, London School of Economics. Mark Tarrick, President and CEO of the Nature Conservancy. The council will be hosted at the Oxford Main School at the University of Oxford. Now, if you don't know anything about the University of Oxford, the University of Oxford has a whole bunch of different damn schools there. It's like this little enclave of schools. I thought Oxford was just a building and it was the school, but when I checked out Bob Ray and his connection with Morris Strong and where he went to school, he went to Oxford and their what do you call it? Their mascot was a turtle, and the turtle was named after a Marxist, some woman, Rosenberg or somebody. And so, you know, Oxford ain't such a good place. As a pioneer of the modern field of public health, the Rockefeller Foundation is proud to be advancing a new planetary health discipline, one that better accounts for the link between human health and the natural system in which it depends, said Judith Rodin, president of the Rockefeller Foundation. Economic Council will bridge knowledge gaps with links, yada, yada, yada. Planetary health. For more than 100 years, the Rockefeller Foundation mission has been to promote the well-being of humanity throughout the world today. The Rockefeller Foundation pursues this mission through dual goals, advancing inclusive economies that expand opportunities for more broadly shared prosperity and building resilience by helping others, communities, and institutions prepare for, withstand, and emerge stronger from the acute shocks of chronic stresses. To achieve these goals, the Rockefeller Foundation works at the intersection of four focus areas: advance health, revalue ecosystems, secure livelihoods, and transform cities to address the root causes of emerging challenges and create systematic change. Together with partners and grantees, the Rockefeller Foundation strives to catalyze and scale transformative innovations, create unlikely partnerships that span sectors, and take risks others cannot or will not. To learn more, please visit the RockefellerFoundation.org. And I encourage everyone to go. Well, let's go there. I'll put this in here, the Rockefeller Foundation, and there's different. This isn't the only Rockefeller outlet. There's several others. But you want to understand how their brains think. You need to understand the Rockefellers and their foundations and who they're connected to, and so on and so forth. You know, you can put in almost anything. Now, this is a different website than I've ever been attached to the Rockefellers, but well, let's see. See all. What's that say? Trending. Anyways, you really need to study the Rockefeller Foundation. Resilience, a new tool for new area of health threats. This doesn't seem like a very big site, but you can maybe go to see on their work here. Topics: advanced health, energy. This may be better. Global. Okay, this may be better. I'll start you there. But you really need to study the Rockefeller Foundation. Until you understand this particular foundation. Now, we have Soros with the open societies. That opens up the gates for migrants, but it's not Soros. He's just funding the NGOs. He's funding those people down at the bottom, okay, while shaking the hands of those at the top. But this is not a George Soros initiative, this migration nonsense. He's just one of the facilitators of it, and he agrees that he's amoral. He said it, and therefore he has no reason to feel bad about anything he's done, because he's amoral. He can't feel bad about anything he's done. And so anyways, I'll stuff this, we're almost out of time here. I'll stuff this Rockefeller piece in here. And like I said, there are lots of sites of the Rockefellers. This is merely one of them. And they have their fingers in everything. I mean, when I read years ago that the very first public health care in my so-called province of Ontario was actually funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, I go, holy crap. You know, I don't know how this guy hasn't been strung up a long time ago. And I do not know why that United Nations building is sitting on American soil. That's really, really sad. It's truly sad. So there's lots of links in there. And again, Jules is in there. I want to thank you very much, Jules, because, you know, once you understand what you're looking at, then you can understand where it's coming from, and you can understand why it's coming. And until you have a decent grip on that these things are all interconnected, they're all coming off the shelf, off the same it's just a plug and play template. And they get their experts from whatever field they want them from, they pay them well, and then they shove it through the schools and universities and the media, which are all on side with this takedown of the West. And we're left reeling because we don't seem to understand. The general public has no clue where all this stuff's coming from, or that it's interconnected, because the media doesn't tell them. And so they just, the government cares about our mental health now. The government cares about our energy supply. The government cares about our food supply. The government cares about our water supply. Is the feeling of the general public, because they have nothing to balance it from. And that's why we have to keep talking, teaching, and shining damn light on these guys. So, but look at the clock, we're out of time. I want to thank Jules so very much for allowing me this time every week to do these shows. And I want to thank the listeners, and hopefully the listener base is growing. And if you like this show or another show on UCY TV, then get out there and promote UCY.TV. Get the listener base up, and then maybe we can accomplish something. So I want to thank the people in the chat, as always, and the administration and the listeners. And I think I'm going to say bye-bye and go and drink the rest of my fresh raw milk milkshake. I think that's what I'm going to do now. So, and last thing, which I almost always forget, 3 o'clock. Al is on deck. Be there. Be square. Because if you ain't there,
selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line, lower classes, social slime, they don't matter, genocide, sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care, Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they war.